Hey everybody, thanks so much for having me here today. You know, it's not every day that you wake up and think, hey, what am I going to do with my life? I'm going to be standing here, you know, in my late 20s as the CEO of a mass customized orthotics company. But here you are, and these things happen, and I'm so excited to share with you a bit about what we've built, why we're building it, and what I think the future of product development, of mass customization, and of 3D printing could look like. Before we kick off into that, I'm going to start this off with a short video, just talking a little bit about our technology and our product, and then we'll dive deep into what we're up to at SOLS.
Life starts from the ground up. Our feet determine how we stand, how we move, and where we go. From uptown to downtown, from city to suburbs, from dirt trail to dance floor. Every path, every story is different, and so is every foot. That's why SOLS envisions a future of footwear that is not only custom-made for your body and your lifestyle, but also custom-made for your every movement. Today, SOLS has integrated next-generation computer vision and 3D printing technology to create a customized insert that is perfectly sculpted to support you and correct your biomechanical alignment. The SOLS digital fitting process is data-driven, repeatable, and accurate. It starts by capturing 3 images of the foot. Our computer algorithm then extracts key data points from these images to generate a completely custom 3D model of the orthotic, which is further customized to fit the features a provider prescribes to account for any biomechanical misalignments. Finally, SOLS uses 3D printing with NASA-grade nylon 11 material to turn these models into a reality. SOLS takes a holistic approach to foot health and promotes overall well-being from the ground up. Walk farther, run faster, dance longer, jump higher, be unstoppable.
All right, guys. It's exciting to finally have assets. Okay, wait. Okay, well, we can't go back. Anyways, so when I started SOLS, I was so inspired by this idea that we could look at what was happening in 3D printing. I saw what I was doing at Shapeways, where effectively we were mass customizing thousands and thousands of unique 3D printed parts every day. And I started asking myself, what is going to be the vertical application? What is going to be the technology? What is going to be the product category that ultimately takes 3D printing and catapults into the mass customized sector? You know, when we look around at the products in our lives, we don't say to ourselves, oh, this is cool because it's injection molded. We say, this is a great product, and I love it, and it makes my life better every day. And I was inspired by the fact that we could do that with 3D printing, and we could find something that takes it beyond, I think, what we've all seen today, which is amazing, to something that touches each and every one of us every day, to a place where it really is more than a manufacturing technology, but it's enabling us to get up every day, to feel great about ourselves in a real and tangible way. And when I thought about that problem and I started looking for applications and I started saying, okay, what is going to be that product category and where can this technology touch people's lives? And what is going to be the product that not only enables me to use 3D printing, but also to build an infrastructure that's scalable and ultimately one day takes us beyond orthotics, beyond footwear, to really products that are customized for our body. And I started looking about that and I started thinking about that, and I thought back to myself as a kid growing up, wearing orthotics, having bad feet, having fallen arches, going to the podiatrist, having this terrible experience where my mom spent, $500 buying a product for me, and I was so embarrassed, and I thought it was so ugly that I just threw it in my closet. I never wore it. I never told my mom, and I have guilt until I started this company about this happening. So when I thought about that and I thought about the orthotics industry, I said, hey, here's this industry, here's this medical healthcare industry that nobody's paying attention to, that's not sexy, that isn't something that we're all thinking about every day, with a $4 billion market. And we could take 3D printing to that. And we could take 3D printing and we could use that as the starting point for this technology to catapult it to something where it truly is just a technology that's part of our everyday lives and is something that we're using and we're familiar with and we're wearing and we're interacting with. And frankly, we don't even know is part of the products in our lives because those products are just better. And I saw that and I thought of that and thus SOLS was born. So that was about a year and a half ago. Over the past year and and a half, we've raised just shy of 20 million in venture capital. We've grown to a team of 60 people. We've shipped our technology to over 400 doctors who are now using it every day as a part of their practice to provide better fitting orthotics for their patients. We've launched pop-up shops both outside of New York and in New York, and we're just now moving into the consumer sector and saying, okay, how do we take this technology and make it something more? How do we move beyond medical? How do we truly use 3D printing to touch each and every person's lives? So when I think about that and I think about where we are, I really see ourselves as being at the inception of this technology. I know that we've all seen it, rise and fall over the past, let's call it 5 years. We've seen what MakerBot has done. We've seen, every FDM printer on this market, and that's cool, and I'm so excited that that's happened. But when I think about where we are, and I think about, technology historically, I think people are going to look back and laugh. The fact that we have, massive printers down in a factory in Texas, sometimes I look at what the future looks like, and I look at, this idea that we all want, where products just magically appear, and those products are better, and they're right, and they're made for us. And I see where we're at today, and I see SOLS as being the driving company that is going to lead that change. We are going to be the company that takes this technology from where it's at today, creates an application that is large enough, that is powerful enough, that touches enough people's lives, that we can have real impact on where 3D printing goes. We can have real impact on how people are using this technology to push the world forward and ultimately lay the foundation for the next generation of healthcare in a really exciting way. When I look forward and I ask myself, what does that era look like? Where are we going with this technology? How can 3D printing make mass customization accessible? And what are the product categories where it's truly going to have impact? I'm sure we've all seen it when we look at our Twitter feeds and we go to LinkedIn and we see, so many applications popping up every day, and whether that's casts or braces or tortoises getting new shells or ducks getting new feet or dogs getting prosthetics or access for kids worldwide using this technology to make products that were previously not possible, suddenly possible. That's where I start getting excited, and that's where I start looking at our technology and saying, okay, so what's next? Where is 3D printing really going to have an impact? What are those industries? And one of the areas I get most excited is this idea of treatment being accessible and being affordable, and this idea that, okay, well, we can take something that we've built, and previously, one doctor in the US that was like the best doctor would be able to give his patients. And we can take that same technology and we can literally give it to everybody in the world. We can give everybody access to the same level of products. We can use data to do that. We can use scalable systems to do that. And suddenly, because we have these three aspects of technology, because we have machine learning, because we have computer vision, because we have mass customization, all coming together, circling around this product category that is actually possible to scale today, this world becomes possible. And we're just now sitting at the beginning of it. And I see a world where we choose to opt in instead of opting out. I talk a lot about orthotics, and I talk a lot about how orthotics, are thought of as this category that's undesirable. You go over to your friend's house, you're wearing shoes, nobody wants to take their shoes off because somebody's going to laugh at them. And whether that's a Dr. Scholl's insert that's like beat up, or it got gel in it, or your friends are going to laugh at you, or like that makes you feel old and undesirable and unattractive, and nobody wants to have that conversation. I mean, we've all been a little bit embarrassed when we go to the Duane Reade and we're standing in front of the insole section because we can't walk anymore in the shoes we chose to wear that day. That shouldn't happen. That world shouldn't be the world that we live in. And as we start to look at how people are applying 3D printing to these new product categories, we see a change happening, and we see a design-driven approach being applied to healthcare. SOLS are beautiful. I hope that as we grow over the next, let's call it 5 years, they will only become more beautiful. We think of them as objects of desire. We think of them as something that you should get excited to wear. When one of my guys on my client care team tells me that he goes out to the bar at night and he takes his shoes off and he sells people SOLS at the bar because he's that excited about it and he can't wait to share the technology with other people, and literally is signing up physical therapists like at the bar in his neighborhood, that's what gets me excited. And that's when I say we've created something that truly is ubiquitous, that people are excited about, that they want to talk about, and that's a conversation piece. What you're looking at here is a project by 3D Systems where they created these bespoke scoliosis braces for 14-year-old girls with this idea that suddenly the girl is choosing. She's saying, this is something that I want to wear, that I'm excited about, that I'm going to take a proactive approach to healthcare, as opposed to saying, this is something that my mom said I had to wear, and now I feel, like I don't have the life that I once wanted to have. And finally, we're looking at technology where it truly is an extension of ourselves. I grew up studying industrial design, and the approach that I learned in school was really form-driven. It was about creating objects that were beautiful. It was about understanding form. It was about understanding how lines and shapes work together in space. And it was about taking those objects, understanding, using marketing to look at where things were going and where trends were happening, and using that to create the products in our lives. As I look forward and I say, where is product design going? What is going to be the next generation of physical objects that permeate our lives, and I look towards what we're doing about SOLS, it's not about the shape or the form or what we want it to look like. It's about looking at ourselves and using ourselves as the foundation for products in our lives. It's about literally taking the shape of our feet and using that shape to create something beautiful, and celebrating that shape and using data to derive what that product should be. This is an amazing Italian company that's using technology that's not so dissimilar to ours to create these beautiful pattern structures that manipulate the material properties. So instead of saying, okay, let's laminate two materials together to create a hard surface and a soft surface, they're saying, let's use what 3D printing is good at, creating amazing structures, amazing generative structures, and let's use that to create better products. We're applying concepts like this at SOLS as well into the insoles to say, mimic the materials of silicones or to create energy rebound trampoline-like structures. And as I think about what 3D printing is good at and how we will continue to apply it in the future, this is a core part of our strategy going forward. And finally, when I look at this and I say, okay, why is what we're doing different? And why is what we're doing as a company different from all the other custom 3D printed products that we all see proliferating the internet? I go back to this idea of this platform for continuous development. We effectively have taken a software-driven approach and we've applied it to physical product. What that means is that we can iterate in real time. It effectively means that I ship a product today to our doctors. Let's say the doctor doesn't like that product. They call me back up and they say, hey, something's wrong with this. In fact, it made my patient uncomfortable. It didn't sit in their shoe right. The heel cup wasn't formed properly. That information goes back, is analyzed by our 3D team, is edited, is put back into a Python script, and is used to generate a completely new version of the product, which is then printed out and shipped the next day. That is rapid product development. That is something that is wildly different, I think, from any types of products that are being developed today. And what that means is not only is that really, really cool, because it means that we are creating a new type of product, but it means that we can respond to market needs in an entirely new way. It means that while other companies, let's say, Dr. Scholl's are taking 7 years to go to market and to develop a new product, we can ship new products continuously. Our products can evolve in the same way that software can evolve, and they only get better. Each and every pair of soles we ship means that our algorithms get better, our technology gets better, our products get smarter, and ultimately we've created a system that makes that possible. And that is, when I look at us, why what we're doing is special and why I'm excited about it. But I think ultimately we will be leading the future of what that kind of rapid product development looks like. Now, to break it down really simply, what does that mean? It means that we have developed a 3-part system. Capture, this is effectively something we call digital imaging, where we're using an iPad to capture images of the feet, and we're extracting unique data points from those images automatically using something called Sally. We're customizing those, not only using quantitative inputs, but also qualitative inputs. And finally, we're printing them down in our factory in Texas before shipping them up to New York to undergo a pretty robust post-processing that ultimately makes the finished product, which we ship to our doctor. And you can see here a little bit just of what that looks like. And like I said, this is in the hands of hundreds and hundreds of doctors today. They've replaced their old-fashioned casting-based processes with this, or foam boxes, really archaic, non-data-driven processes that are really, that this just improves upon pretty exponentially. And so finally, because I know I'm running out of time. So what does this mean, and what kind of skill sets are relevant to this? I said I studied industrial design. If I could do it all over again, I look at what's happening in computational architecture, and it blows my mind. We have so many different kinds of skill sets at SOLS, but our 3D team is the core team behind our product, and it is composed of a wildly diverse set of skills. We've got biomechanical engineers, industrial engineers, computational architects, software engineers, Python engineers, all coming together to make this product possible. We actually only have one industrial designer on the team, and when I tell people that, it blows their mind because they're like, oh, but this is a physical product. And I say, yes, this is a physical product, but it's one that's made with code. It is an entirely new way of looking at the products in our lives. And as we look towards the future, and we see this new method of product development, it's going to be this mix of skill set. It's going to be these multidisciplinary teams coming together, working together, leveraging each other to build a new generation of products that are responsive, that are made for us, that are truly second skins, and ultimately inform the type of world that I want to live in, and I hope all of you do as well. So finally, I just want you to imagine for a second that you're a kid and you're walking down the street. Maybe you're running, and maybe it's this tree-lined street in the suburbs, and you fall and you break your arm, and it hurts. Normally in this scenario, you would go home, you would go to your mom, to your dad, you would cry, you would go to the doctor, to the hospital, you'd have to get this cast on your arm, it would be uncomfortable, it would be heavy, maybe you'd go to school, your friends would sign it, you'd wear this thing, until your arm heals, and the entire process would be, incredibly expensive and laborious, and it's one of those things that you'd look back at and tell stories for, years later. With this promise, with this technology, what that changes into is a world where instead of that happening, you go home, you go to your mom, she takes out, let's say, her iPhone, she uses that to take a video of your arm. Automatically, after that video is captured, data points are extracted, a 3D file is generated, maybe the data model understands that the wrist area of your arm is less fatty than the upper area of your arm, and unique generative lattice structures are created to mimic padding around those areas. Maybe she can manipulate it in real time on the iPad. Maybe it's leveraging a database of doctors' knowledge across the US, across the world, to make the right decisions at that time, and maybe she's then printing it out on a machine, and you're walking away minutes later with this cast on your arm. We are not there yet today, but this is the world that we're going to. This is the technology that we're building, and this is what the future of product development will look like if we continue down the trajectory where we're at today, where we really are combining these data models to create mass customized product in an entirely new way. It's about saying and using technology to do what we as people couldn't do, what we as individuals couldn't do, what we as artists couldn't do, which is repeat the same thing, customized again and again and again, and saying, how can we live in a world where that is possible? Thank you.